having been already declared a prime ministerial candidate. Another man always seen as prime minister to be. One, a political leader with immense grassroots support. The other, a sign leveraging hereditary support. Assembly elections in 2013 were anything if not a fight between Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi. And the trends and results are indicative of who has come out to be the winner. In this, the semi-finals to the big fight of 2014. 5 states went to the polls, and leaving the political minion Mizoram aside, the 4 states of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi and Rajasthan saw Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi playing to the gallery, drumming up support.
गुस्सा किसी के अंदर नहीं होता है, गुस्सा डाला जाता है, राजनेता लोग डालते हैं, इंटरेस्टेड पार्टी जो होती है वो डालते हैं। इसलिए मैं बीजेपी के राजनीति के खिलाफ हूं, इसलिए क्योंकि ये करते क्या है, ये राजनीतिक लाभ के लिए चोट पहुंचाते हैं।
भाइयों बहनों, अब वक्त बदल चुका है। न बिरादरी के लिए वोट देना है, न जाति के लिए वोट देना है। अब तो वोट देना है, विकास के लिए वोट देना है, विकास के लिए वोट देना है।
To counter the Gujarat Chief Minister and his high decibel poll pitch, the Congress even had the Prime Minister address a few election rallies. But Dr. Singh's tone and tenor is much different from the man who aspires for his job. In fact, addressing a rally in Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh on November the 17th, Dr. Manmohan Singh blamed Narendra Modi for bringing down the standard of political discourse.
दूसरों की बुराई करने की उमंग में बीजेपी के एक बड़े नेता बहुत बार असत्य का सहारा लेते नजर आते। वो अक्सर ऐतिहासिक तथ्यों को तोड़-मोड़ कर पेश करते। एक बार तो वो कांग्रेस की बुराई करने के जोश में एक ऐसे व्यक्ति के बारे में गलत सच बोल गए जिनका बीजेपी में बहुत सम्मान किया जाता।
दिल्ली की सरकार को लकवा मार गया है दोस्तों।
This is the furthest that Manmohan Singh went against Narendra Modi, who stuck to his no-holds-barred diatribe against the Congress and its top brass, particularly targeting Rahul Gandhi.
जब छत्तीसगढ़ का जन्म हुआ, अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने छत्तीसगढ़ बनाया, तो सबसे पहले छत्तीसगढ़ किसके हाथ में गया था? क्या ऐसा खूनी पंजा फिर से चाहिए आपको? ऐसे समाज जीवन को तहस नहस करने वाले हाथ में छत्तीसगढ़ देना चाहते हो?
The Congress Vice President too managed to shoot his mouth when it came to getting carried away by election sloganeering.
परसों मेरे कमरे में ऑफिस में एक पुलिस का अफसर आया, इंटेलिजेंस का, और मैंने उससे पूछा ये क्या हो रहा है, और वो कहता है कि राहुल जी मैं आपको क्या बताऊं, मुजफ्फरनगर में जो आग लगी है, ऐसे 10-15 लड़के हैं, मुसलमान लड़के हैं, जिनके भाई बहनों को मारा गया है, और पाकिस्तान से लोग उनसे बात करना शुरू कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान की इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी के लोग उन लड़कों से बात करना शुरू कर रहे हैं, और मैं उन बच्चों से बात कर रहा हूं, उनको कह रहा हूं इनकी बातों में मत आओ।
But while the Election Commission issued warnings and show-cause notices, it was Narendra Modi's rhetoric that seemed to be doing the trick rather than Rahul Gandhi's. Surprisingly, this turned out to be a fact even rivals cannot be blind to. Aam Aadmi Party's fourth internal survey in Delhi showed that most of Arvind Kejriwal's supporters are also rooting for Narendra Modi as the next Prime Minister of this country. The Congress has been battered by one scam after another, denting the government's image beyond salvage. And that had been one of the toughest challenges that Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi had to live down as he went about campaigning.
सबको हम एक साथ देखते हैं। हमारे लिए दिल्ली में हर एक व्यक्ति एक जैसा है, चाहे वो हिंदू हो, मुसलमान हो, सिख हो, ईसाई हो, किसी भी जात का हो, कहीं का भी हो। आप जाइए बीजेपी के राज में जाइए, कर्नाटका में, महाराष्ट्र में, और वहां वो टेंशन क्रिएट करते हैं।
What the Modi effect stands for seems to be a popular longing for the decisive and purposeful governance. And the perception has been that this is something that the Congress-led UPA too has not been able to provide.
शक्ति रूप स्वीकार करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है।
Narendra Modi articulates the vision they have in their hearts for the future, and especially for the young. And they want an India where, which is free and where first of all there is no hunger, there is, there is opportunity, and of course everybody wants that there is less inequality. All that, if somebody is articulating, and there is nationalism, if they're articulating, then he will add to the work done by the regional chiefs.
After this round of assembly elections, the consensus seems to be that the BJP has gained in strength. And while Chief Ministers Raman Singh in Chhattisgarh and Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh have their good records to boost BJP's fortunes in their respective states, it has been Narendra Modi who has been relentless in his campaign onslaught.
So the big question is, can the BJP credit its win to the Modi wave? Here are some facts. Modi clocked more hours than any other senior BJP leader, showing his readiness to face his first acid test. Not just that, clamour for Modi rallies grew, with party leaders seeking more time from him to campaign in states like Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Then, of course, the turnout at the rallies, which may have been contested by the Congress several times, but Modi addressed packed rallies in all the 4 states that he campaigned in. Well, also, Modi focused on 2014 battle, raising some national issues, even as he campaigned for assembly elections. And last but not the least, in intensity and aggression, Modi's campaign actually echoed the high-stakes pitch for New Delhi.
I think a BJP victory will certainly be seen by Modi boosters as proof that Narendra Modi is the way ahead for the BJP, that he's won these assembly elections for them, he'll win the general election. The truth, as you know, is more complicated. In 1998, these same states were won by the Congress. In 1999, Vajpayee won the parliamentary election.
For the Congress party, this was the coronation of the year. 2013 began with the rise of the reluctant prince.
My mother came to my room and she sat with me and she cried. Why did she cry? She cried because she understands that the power so many people seek is actually a poison.
And in these elections, it was a severe test for the Rahul factor and its potency to counter the Modi effect.
Semi-final 2013 was virtually fought under the command of Rahul Gandhi. He took all the decisive decisions. He took all the major calls on important political action. And most important of all, he changed the way, or the mechanism, the way tickets were being distributed in the Congress party.
The writing on the wall suggests that Rahul Gandhi has hardly delivered anything more than a sense of well-being in the Congress headquarters. Many see it as Rahul's failure to press the right buttons in the high-stakes game.
कांग्रेस के शहजादे
Countering Modi's aggression, Rahul took the sentimental route at times.
और एक व्यक्ति आया अंदर और उसने कुछ टीचर से बात की और फिर वो मेरे पास आई टीचर और उसने कहा कि तुम्हें घर जाना है. उनके प्रिंसिपल के ऑफिस में गया, फोन उठाया मैंने और दूसरे साइड हमारे घर में एक महिला काम करती है, वो चिल्ला रही थी. मतलब ऐसी चीख मैंने कभी पहले नहीं सुनी थी. और मैंने उससे पूछा क्या हुआ और वो जवाब नहीं दे मुझे. तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि पापा ठीक है और उसने कहा हाँ पापा ठीक है. फिर मैंने कहा मामा ठीक है और उसने कहा मामा ठीक है. फिर मुझे मालूम था कि पापा ठीक है मामा ठीक है तो दादी ही हो सकती है.
But when sentiment did not work, Rahul tried the well thought out plain speak.
दलित कम्युनिटी को इस धरती पे जुपिटर की एस्केप वेलोसिटी की जरूरत होती है कि आपको बहुत ज्यादा तेज धक्का मारना पड़ता है. और इसलिए अगर आप हिस्ट्री को देखें, जो दलित लोग होते हैं, हम सब हैं, अंबेडकर जी को बहुत गर्व से देखते हैं.
Then the Congress vice president even tried being the conscience keeper of his party, but after the initial surprise, there were few takers for what seemed a political gimmick.
I'll tell you what my opinion on the ordinance is. My opinion on the ordinance is that it's complete nonsense and that it should be torn up and thrown out. That's my opinion, my personal opinion on the ordinance. I'll repeat it for you. My opinion on the ordinance is that it should be torn up and thrown away.
And amidst all this, Rahul also seemed to be losing the battle for the virtual space. A report by Blogworks suggests that Modi generated 9 times more buzz than Rahul on social media, with mentions about him surging at the rate of 126%. Rahul remained number 2, but also saw mentions about him fall by 2%. In the real world, the crowds began thinning at the rallies.
ये जो प्यारी बहनें जा रही हैं ना, मैं आपसे कहती हूँ 10 मिनट और रुक जाओ, राहुल जी की आवाज़ तो सुन के जाओ. मुझे मालूम है खाने की भूख लग रही है, लेकिन थोड़ी देर रुक जाओ. थैंक यू, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
In Delhi, Rahul's 2 rallies turned out to be damp squibs, and then he decided to give the state a miss.
कांग्रेसी कौन होता है जो आज इस तंबू में बैठे? ये जो महिलाएं यहां बैठी हैं, कांग्रेस कौन होता है? और उन्होंने मुझे बताया कांग्रेसी वो होता है जो कमजोर की मदद करता है.
But when Modi spoke in the capital, crowds just overflowed.
कांग्रेस पार्टी ये मन से मान चुकी है कि ईश्वर ने हमको सत्ता के लिए ही पैदा किया है.
In the roughly 2.5 months of campaigning by both Rahul and Narendra Modi, a trend was seen to emerge.
Rahul Gandhi!
While Narendra Modi primarily stuck to urban centres, Rahul Gandhi took the rural backwater route, each playing to their strengths.
Urban pockets are concerned, or areas which are in the proximity of urban centres, there the impact of Narendra Modi is clearly visible. But if we look at the rural areas or areas which are away from urban centres, there Rahul Gandhi has an equal presence as much as Narendra Modi, and otherwise also in rural areas, the tribal belt, the Congress has been doing quite well over the last so many elections.
One of the biggest face-offs between the Modi effect and Rahul factor was seen in Rajasthan, where the Congress faced anti-incumbency, and Vasundhara Raje's bid to wrest control was boosted by Modi's presence. Both Rahul and Modi had the largest number of outings in the state. Modi addressed 8 rallies to Rahul's 7. The Rajasthan campaign for both the BJP's prime ministerial candidate and Congress's de facto number 1 had been an astutely engineered one. Both flagged off a day apart, Modi in Jaipur, Rahul in the tribal Udaipur belt.
हम चाहते हैं कि ऐसा दिन आए जब बड़े से बड़े
कॉलेज में बड़े से बड़े उद्योगों को आपके बच्चे चलाएं, आदिवासियों के बच्चे चलाएं।
While one got personal,
कांग्रेस के शहजादे,
the other was never seen this aggressive.
कमजोर लोगों की सरकार एक बार फिर लाइए, चुने हुए लोगों की सरकार मत लाइए, आपका नुकसान होने वाला है।
Both hit where it mattered.
मैं नहीं जानता हूं मेरी पार्टी ने आज कार्यक्रम यहां क्यों रखा। मैं ये भी नहीं जानता हूं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी ने कल यहां कार्यक्रम क्यों रखा। कुछ बात तो है।
अगर आप उनके भाषण सुनेंगे तो आपको सड़कों के बारे में सुनाई देगा, एयरपोर्ट के बारे में सुनाई देगा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बारे में सुनाई देगा, मगर इंसान के बारे में, गरीब के बारे में एक शब्द नहीं सुनाई देगा। ये सोचते हैं कि अगर देश को बदलना है तो देश में एक सड़क बना दो और देश बदल जाएगा।
Rajasthan stood witness to the fact that both Modi and Rahul made the Vidhan Sabha election a possible blueprint of the forthcoming Lok Sabha elections. But Rajasthan also showed that all promises made by both have been sacrificed at the altar of electoral math, be it claims of clean politics made by Rahul Gandhi or the Modi rhetoric against dynastic politics.
आजकल भ्रष्टाचार की बात होती, हमने आपको आरटीआई दिया। पहले जो बंद कमरों में होता था बाहर निकला। आज हिंदुस्तान का कोई भी व्यक्ति अपने सरकार के बारे में कोई भी सवाल पूछ सकता है। तो हम आपको शक्ति देने की बात करते हैं। हम कहते हैं देखिए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जरूर बनेगा और हम उनसे ज्यादा बनाते हैं। जितनी सड़कें एनडीए की सरकार ने बनाई 5 साल में, उससे 3 गुना सड़कें हमने बनाई।
शहजादे जी, आपका विचार है भारत ये मधुमक्खी का छत्ता है, ये आपका विचार है। हमारा विचार है भारत हमारी माता है।
We are in Jeet College in Jodhpur University and we've got this bunch of students, politically aware, most of them first-time voters. What do you think this time?
I think Rahul Gandhi will connect us more because he is a member that he belongs to youth and he is a dynamic personality and he impresses ourselves.
I'll go for Rahul Gandhi because we are youth of this country and definitely wants a young person to represent our country.
It's basically we want a government which is powerful. We don't want a government who just says anything and doesn't do it. As Narendra Modi has performed in his state, so I believe that he will also perform in the center also.
I prefer Narendra Modi because he has performed in his state, and we have seen that Rahul Gandhi and his party, they have been allegedly involved in many cases of corruption, and in the railways also they have not performed well.
I think Rahul Gandhi is thinking about the whole nation, and the Narendra Modi is the only person in BJP which is strong. If we talk about all the BJP, then we will not be satisfied about its after its working. So I think Narendra Modi is not very good in communicating, and if we talk about foreign affairs, then he will not maintain good relationship with them.
I think Narendra Modi is appropriate because, as we know, the development of the Gujarat, and I think it's all the work that speaks.
I'll strongly support Narendra Modi because his action or his decision is very bold. He takes the decision and tells that this has to happen. If there is no condition that this thing would not be fulfilled.
Looking at the overall development of the Gujarat, not only in particular sector, he has excelled in all the fields regarding be it the crime rate, be it the energy conservation or any automobile things.
The results notwithstanding assembly elections in these 4 states of Delhi, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh is but the semi-final fight for the ultimate prize of dominating the 16th Lok Sabha that will come into being in 2014. As of now, Modi seems to be winning the race to the Prime Minister's chair. An India Today ORG opinion poll suggested that 48% people preferred Narendra Modi as their prime ministerial choice against 25% who are in favour of Rahul Gandhi. The Congress party, suffering from a major trust deficit, had looked to Rahul to lead them to spectacular victory, but then had to finally spend its energy trying to insulate him from political failure that stared him in the face.
राहुल गांधी की मीटिंग यहाँ फेल हो गई तो इसलिए राहुल गांधी फेल हो गए। मैं तो उस मीटिंग के बारे में मुझे पता नहीं, पर जो मैंने पढ़ा था मैं उसको कोई आधार नहीं मानने को तैयार।
मैं उनके साथ काम कर रहा हूँ, मैं कुछ कह सकता हूँ कि उनके विचार कुछ नए विचार हैं, नए सोच हैं। हमारी पार्टी 125 साल पुरानी पार्टी है और पुरानी पार्टी में नया सोच लाना आसान नहीं होता।
On the other hand, while Modi medicine to end all ailments may just be a perception created in the public mind, drummed up by relentless PR, but when it comes to swaying polls in BJP's favour, it seemed to be a strategy that worked in elections 2013.